Welcome, Commanders. For a special one-year anniversary of Homeworld Mobile, we're going to take a deep dive into the T4 Epic and Rare Destroyers with the introduction of the community design for Hygarian Missile Destroyer. Shout out to the community and devs. This is one of the least toxic and engaging communities I've had the chance to be a part of. And although it's a small studio, the devs are active on Discord and incorporate player feedback constantly. It's exciting to see how far the game's come and developed over the course of a year, and I'm anxious to see what's going to come next. But first up, let's check out this event. So we got an anniversary starter pack here. This includes some adamant, 1,000 a T1 assault frigate, 4 interceptor squadrons, and 4 resource collectors, all epic, and it's a pretty nice pack. It's gonna be good for T1, definitely, but anything higher than that, probably not. Um, but at only $5, it's going to give you a decent boost to your early game combat and economy with those epic collectors. Those are going to get you lots of ore. We also have the Missile Destroyer pack, and this is actually a pretty good deal, with whatever that means for a mobile game. But for $20, you get the Adamant for 3,000, and you get the rare T4 Destroyer. So for $20, you get 4,000, and this actually costs like 1490. So you end up getting a little bit more ADA if you do the Missile Destroyer pack, if you were going to do that anyway. But as we go through here, I just want to highlight the RE crates. This is going to be great. Early game resources for everybody. I think the the T4 pack has 150 of the rarest 25 for the EU. So at 5 of those, you're gonna get 125. Also some of the rare composites and gas. And don't forget these insigs. So before we dive too much into here, you'll be able to earn Nimbus merits through the mail. You probably should have gotten at least 600, or by the end of the event, you'll get 600 from Soren altogether. There's these two $50 packs for 50,000 credits and for 100 prestige points. And obviously, you can buy merits for ADA as well. And so let's kind of go over. I've already purchased most of these because I've been doing the dailies and stuff. So make sure to do your dailies too. Oh yeah, officer. So Joshua Shajet, he's gonna have energy generation skill capacity. So this is gonna be great for multi-weapon flagships. If you have like repair beams and ions and missiles, and you all have bursts for all of them, or different skills, this is gonna give you more skills, energy, and it's gonna give you faster generation, so you can continue to do those skills for longer. Now let's get into the frigates. Now, top of the line here, we got the Yaot DD. So this is gonna be available in Tier 3 and Tier 4. This guy is a beast. This is definitely gonna be the destroyer to get. But I'm gonna go through all the rest of them, and we're gonna show just how much damage they do. But let's take a second and look through the escorts, because this is going to be the other thing that's coming with this event. So we got to see some more emissary siege frigates, Tannock assault frigate, and a missile frigate. Those are going to be pretty weak for tier 3, so like just get them to collect them, I guess, or something if you want. But they're not going to be really combat oriented at 53k. I have in tier 4, I have fighters that are harder than that. So for early T3, this is going to be great buys. The repair frigate, must buy. Always, any chance you can get a repair frigate, definitely get that. I'll pick up this T3 before the end of it too, just to have an extra one. And then we got blueprints for the missile destroyer from tier 2 to tier 4. I might pick up these. I'm going to see about getting some more of the insignias, and I might buy an RE creator too. But I've already purchased my T4 destroyer, and the pre-builts are available here. Now, the reason that these prices are pretty cheap is because this is an anniversary event. So just be aware of that. Prices for other events are probably going to be higher. But we do continue to give feedback to the devs and tell them that the event prices are a little bit skewed. These are definitely lower, and I'd like to see kind of somewhere in the middle end up over the next year. All right, so now that we've got the event all covered, let's get into it. So front and center, the almighty, the goat, the they're faster, huh? Tier 4. The tier 4 rare Yaot Destroyer. Now this thing is a behemoth. I've got all the research for it. So it comes out to about 467 combat score, doing 3k hull DPS and armor DPS without any kind of escort buffs. And what we've really learned from most players have had this for a long time, since the original Yaot event. Now, some players have lost it, and it's a really incredible tool. So you gotta make sure you protect it at all costs. But at 100 hull or 100 armor and 200 hull, this thing is hard to defeat. You gotta leave it alone doing something bad for a long time. All right, so it's kind of like this. We could do some loops and send them all through epics. I could separate them, anything like this, but it's kind of always a match pair. Like you pair your destroyer with the output of your fleet, flagship, or your strike craft. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send it through PR3 with automatic battle mode on. I've started a group, so I am by myself. Nobody else can join. Total fleet power actually exceeds the strike, so technically I should complete the strike. But I'm just gonna send them in and see what happens, and we're gonna kind of talk through some of the likes and dislikes with the Yaot Destroyer. Now, it is a very powerful escort. It is, and it's fast too. It's much faster than a flagship usually. Kind of on par with maybe an explorer. With an explorer with an officer, it is quick. It zips around. And we'll see that it's got huge ion cannons and heavy pulsars. See the top on the pulsar, and these two look like they're ions, and the bottom, I don't know. This one looks like it should be a pulsar too, but it's not actually firing an ion or a pulsar beam. But yeah, it just wrecks. It just wrecks. Let's see. If I take this destroyer and I assign it to a group, then I can take that group and I can point it at something and shoot it. There we go.
Engage all hostiles.
That got on. This one, full health. Hit it.
Engage all hostiles.
By itself. The flagship targeted too. Can't really tell. Let's see what a T3 platform will do. I think it doesn't even have time to turn towards it and destroy it. It just destroys it. And we can see that the Yaot Destroyer is always going to out-survive my flagship. Almost always. I mean, comparatively so. I just hit a pulsar burst and go. My hull on a T4 battle cruiser is 100k. My escort is twice that. Look, let's destroy the base. But because I had auto battle on, it wouldn't attack the base long. So that was the Yaot DD. Absolutely epic. It and the flagship solo PR3. It did not take nearly as much damage as my flagship. It didn't even lose a full tick of armor. Nearly indestructible. Condolences to anybody who's lost one. So that was the Yaot DD. Absolutely epic. It and the flagship solo PR3. It did not take nearly as much damage as my flagship. It didn't even lose a full tick of armor. Nearly indestructible. Condolences to anybody who's lost And now we got the T4 destroyer. This is a Steadfast class destroyer capital, and it has 3 mass drivers and an ion cannon on it. And you have to look at this model. You have to get in here and actually look at these models sometimes. They're just so nice. You can see that it has the 2 javelins on the top, and it looks like it has a javelin on the bottom as well. They are fully active. And it has this ion cannon, which has like a little mount on the front. This thing is an absolute beast out in the field. It's gonna destroy anything that comes near it. The javelins will take care of Strikecraft, and that ion really punches through the armor. And you can see that it trades that whole DPS for some more armor DPS, and it's just more well-rounded. Now with 308k hull, this thing is another beast, honestly. Its armor gets chipped away not nearly as fast as my flagship with only 35k, but it still gets stripped away, but it just will tank forever. What I've actually been doing is taking this, sending it to the center in SD4 while I destroy it. Actually, that's what I should do. Oh. Nah, never mind. I'm gonna keep it up with the PR3. We'll just send both of them into the center. So let's go ahead and assign this. We're gonna keep that whole DPS officer on there. It is what it is. We're just gonna buff hull today because we need that for our missiles. We're also gonna need that for our Flak, so we might as well give it to our T4 Epic and the Yaot DD. So let's go ahead and jump in. Now this has the same range as the Yaot DD. Actually, no. This actually has 65. So this is going to have a little bit more range, and that helps the ion do its job. It's really great at punching through armor here. Give it some good light here. Let's see that ion fire off. Oh, just fired right behind that my ship. So we can see my flagship is already getting chunked. Armor's already getting nicked away. But let's kind of see what some of the damages that this guy's doing. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to assign this to a group. And that way we can control it. So let's hit that with our group 1. Oh.
Move attack confirmed.
Yeah, we can see with the ion it really does do a punch, but the Yaot DD was obviously taking stuff out quick. But one thing that you'll notice is that there's a lot less Strikecraft on the map now. I mean, both the ion and the pulsars on the flagship are taking care of most of the frigates, but the destroyer does help the javelins with the against Strikecraft. Now, I'd say overall that's pretty impressive. Now we're seeing that they're both targeting the I mean, it's like 2 destroyers come in, or 2 frigates come in, 2 fighters come in, and they just disappear. Quick lap.
Oh, look, the welcome wagon.
Pew pew. Pulsars for the win. All right, so we're going to see a pretty big wave here. Make sure to keep up my pulsars. But we'll see the Strikecraft go down pretty quickly around the destroyer. The destroyer is going to focus on all frigates, though, first.
Links failing, we have losses.
Oof. Just delete, delete, delete.
Repairs initiated. New heading set.
All right, so we're gonna just see how my destroyer does alone. I don't want to have to restart this one.
Green line confirmed.
Is anyone responding here?
Nope.
New heading set. Green line confirmed.
And while I'm sorting here, you can kind of see how my destroyer's a little bit struggling. Who to kill? Let's kill you first.
Coordinates locked in.
Course set. Destination locked in.
And there we go. So the T4 destroyer required a little bit. The Epic destroyer required a little bit more micromanagement overall, but I have liked how well it deals with strike craft. And I just don't like taking the Yaot DD out of the time. All right, so next up we're gonna have the Flak destroyer. Now I know this Flak destroyer gets a lot of flack from the community, but ultimately I like what it does. It's a great little anti-strike craft destroyer. If you want to farm something like Station Defense 2, maybe, that's a great companion to have. But ultimately, it's very focused, very focused destroyer. It's meant to deal damage against strike crafts and corvettes. You're gonna see it's kind of small. It's a little wimpy, but it also has significantly less armor and targeting range than pretty much anybody else. And the armor DPS, like 27 armor DPS, that's literally like throwing a BB at a tank or something. It's absurd that it's so low, but it makes sense. It's meant to deal with strike craft. It's just Flak, which I guess is just chafe in this universe. Or chaff. All right. Back to Bear's Rock. Boom. I actually did need some internal code, so I'm glad I'm doing this. Strength currently unavailable. What? How did I... Did I not change it? I'm sorry. I could have sworn I changed it. Yeah, I have it. Why is my combat rating so high still? This should... Okay, yeah, 647. So the combat rating in the strike lobby was wrong.
We got company.
Oh man.
So I'm actually going to set this to guard my flagship, because otherwise it kind of wanders off too quickly. And we can see that it is doing absolutely no damage against this platform defense, which is targeting for whatever reason. Who knows? Now, see, the problem that I have with the Flak Destroyer is exactly this. Somewhere? This right here. it's not doing nearly as much damage to those frigates up there, and my flagship is just being stripped of all its armor. We can see that the flak destroyer is already taking some damage here, which doesn't bode well.
Destination
Let's
locked in.
kind of focus in on it, see where it's targeting to. And this is also one of the other things that I've seen about this, is because its targeting range is so short, it's just kind of suicidal. It has to get closer to the frigates, which it can't do any damage to. But it's not just staying in position with the flagship. So this causes the flak destroyer to just kind of veer off course and kind of get into situations like this where it's literally surrounded. And it's not even fighting the strike craft that it needs to. It's trying to deal damage to this stuff. So overall, I'm a fan of the concept, but I hope that they can fix it. What is it doing? It looks like a kinetic, maybe?
Route attack confirmed.
Yeah, it's just like not even doing damage against that stuff. But what you can do is set this to a group,
Moving to destination.
and then you can select one and just boop, start.
Coordinates locked in. Move attack coordinates locked in. Move attack confirmed. Move attack coordinates locked in. Engage all hostiles.
But see, I just turn on pulsar burst and they all disappear. So like for micromanaging it, you're not really getting that much. I'm not saving my flagship here. It is effectively dead.
Requesting backup.
So we're gonna have to emergency jump out of here.
Hyperdrive engaged.
And unfortunately, that's what it is. The flak destroyer just can't stand up to significant combat like this. It might be better deployed in a carrier fleet where it has something like a repair frigate or a pulsar frigate that can attach onto it and like give it some help wherever it needs. But it's a combination of factors, combination of new weapon type that's not really kind of tested. It's a combination of that and just generally bad targeting AI for all frigates. Strikecraft even. I mean, the targeting AI is just okay. This is a 3D space combat sim. The targeting is not supposed to be easy. It's just really complicated. I mean, it's stuff that you militaries haven't even figured out yet. We understand, fighting in atmospheric pressures where there's lift and weight and drag and thrust and there's maneuvers like this, but in a zero-G environment, like we have no idea how that combat works. We're still kind of stuck up against like trying to do stuff in an atmospheric thing where it's like, okay, well, I shift this way, it shifts this way, but ultimately momentum's going to be king. These ships are going to be moving extremely fast and they have to change that direction to go somewhere else. So it's complicated, but ultimately it's not in a good position right now. So let's go and do my favorite. We're gonna get the missile destroyer. Now this is a community crafted. So they did a series of polls on Discord that ultimately just picked, the faction that made it, what type it was, what weapons, what its outline was going to look like, and then we got to pick some more details like its placement and its skin. So we got a whole DPS of 3.3k, and we see that the armor DPS is just weak. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not as weak as the flak destroyer, but it still is pretty weak. But with a whole 218k, we we have some definite survivability, and with 3 times as much armor as our own flagship for tier 3, it stands up so well. So let's take it right into PR3 and see how this goes. Hopefully this goes a little bit better than our Flak destroyer. All right. All right, so now we have the missile destroyer heading into combat here. Oh no, I gave it a command. Sorry. It is still tied to group. It's actually pretty interesting. So I assigned this group. It doesn't. It follows the ship that you put it on. That's kind of interesting. I'll have to explore that later with the flagship. But I set this missile destroyer to group 1 earlier. Then I switched destroyers, and the new destroyers didn't have a group, and I had to assign them. But when I came back to this one that I'd already assigned, it remembered. That's probably only for the day though. So this is good. This is kind of interesting. So the missile destroyer is going to outclass the flak destroyer on a couple of cases. One, it has significantly more armor and hull. 2, it does a lot more damage, both armor and I mean, it does 10 times as much armor damage as the flak DD, which is crazy, but whatever. But we're also going to see that it has a 60 unit targeting range. So it's going to be able to reach out further and touch those other craft. And it's kind of interesting. I think the Flak DD does about 2.5k hull damage, but it doesn't do that much hull damage to escorts, I believe, or to capital ships. I believe that it maybe has some penalty for doing that kind of damage. So yeah, we see that it's clearing the map a whole lot easier. And the funny thing about this is it actually kind of leads the pack sometimes. So it'll go after targets that it can't hit, but the flagship will follow up on it, strip its armor like it just did there, and then the missile destroyer comes in and takes out the rest of it. But honestly, my pulsars hit stuff so fast that missile destroyer probably never even gets the chance. So yeah, maybe we can take group 1 and send it after these guys.
We're taking heavy losses.
Heavy losses.
Coordinates locked in.
We can see my armor is much heavier than it, much higher than it usually is. We'll go around halfway. And a pulsar burst just clears the map. We can see that the destroyer is going to take some damage, but it really doesn't take nearly as much damage as my flag. And it's kind of interesting because I removed repair turrets from my flagship just because I wanted pure DPS, and I'm still getting aggro just as much. Just weird.
Move attack coordinates locked in. Move attack
We're losing this fleet. Destination locked in.
New heading set.
All right, final phase. Let's keep it going. One thing that I like to do is actually you can just set your missile DD here and then start kiting your flagship around it.
Course set. Green line confirmed.
Just absolute damage monsters.
Order confirmed. Destination locked in. On our way.
Yeah, so if you ever need to kill something quickly, that's how you do it. Let's just start kiting it.
We've won. We've done it.
So overall, I hope you guys can take away what you want from this. I really like the missile destroyer. It definitely does what it's meant out to do. It's meant to kill strike craft. Overall, the Yaot DD is king though. You cannot beat it. It is better than most people's flagships. Honestly, it's better than any flagship that I have. I have 3 fully kitted flagships,
Complete.
T4, and they are nowhere near a Yaot DD. But I'll end up keeping the missile DD just because, one, I helped design it. It's really cool, and it's actually pretty effective at the job that it needs to do. So with that, thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and check back for more content. And don't forget to do your dailies. Bye.